talking today about a court order that allowed the FBI to remove hacker backdoors from vulnerable Microsoft Exchange servers. Danny Palmer here with me to break this down. Danny, not everyone's happy about this. It sounds like off the top they should be, but not everyone is, as this relates to the future of cybersecurity. So first, just talk about this court order. What did it give the FBI, the ability to do here?
Well, this allowed the FBI to enter the networks of private companies and sort of fix backdoors that had been implanted by cyber criminals as a result of the Microsoft Exchange zero-day vulnerability that came to light a few weeks ago now, where it turned out that nation-state-backed hackers had managed to gain access to essentially the email servers of how a lot of Microsoft servers work, and use that as a stepping stone to enter networks, steal usernames, passwords, information, that sort of thing. So not good if you're infected or compromised by one of these organizations. Microsoft have released a patch to fix this, but as we've seen plenty of times over the years, organizations can be slow to apply these updates. And many organizations still haven't. And that's not only meant that potentially the original attackers are in their network, because this is such a high-profile vulnerability. Other nation-state attackers have been trying to snoop around, see what they can find, and also a bunch of regular cyber criminal groups doing everything from implanting malware to ransomware to cryptojacking malware and on networks which are vulnerable. So what the FBI have done here is basically, they got this court order which allowed them to go into the networks of these organizations without necessarily these organizations actually knowing this was happening, and remove the sort of web shells that had been implanted to basically take control of the networks. While this is arguably a good thing, so stopping cyber criminals and hackers from being inside the networks, it hasn't been positively received by some, because there are people who are worried about what this could mean, and things about the approach of how this has happened as well.
Yeah, expand on that, Danny, because as you note in the headline, which of course is eye-catching, is this is what's happening, but not everyone's happy about this. And what does it mean? What are the implications, as time goes on?
It kind of comes down to how the FBI have gone to these networks without anyone knowing, because ultimately that's what cybercriminal hackers do. They enter networks and fiddle around with things in secret. Except in this case, the FBI has done it to try and fix things. But there are people who are uncomfortable about what this potentially sets a precedent for, because they worry that the FBI could just go, okay, there's something wrong with your network, we're going to come in and have a look. And that people have sort of concerns about privacy when it comes to that, and what the role of the FBI should be. I mean, they were doing this unilaterally. It was not with the knowledge of the companies that were affected. And some of these companies might not have even known they were affected by Microsoft Exchange vulnerabilities in the first place, which is why they've gone in and done it. It's a different way to how things have happened here in the UK, where the UK National Cybersecurity Centre has worked with companies who are vulnerable in order to help fix their vulnerabilities, which is another problem or issue that some people have with this whole thing with how the FBI have done that. They removed the web shells from these networks, which is no good. The attackers no longer have access. And the FBI report says in at least one hacking group has now got no access to these compromised servers. But the FBI haven't applied the patches which caused the vulnerabilities in the first place. So these companies which have had the FBI into their networks to remove certain vulnerabilities could still be vulnerable to other attackers entering their networks because they haven't received the patch. And while the FBI says it is going to try and contact everyone it sort of entered the networks of, they might not be able to. So you could still end up with a situation where attackers will come back again and enter these networks and do all sorts of bad stuff that they'll be doing. It's it's created quite a debate, as it's seen by quite a few sides in the people I discussed. It's a really interesting area because arguably it is a good thing stopping cyber criminals doing things, but people have reservations about the FBI just basically bashing down the door without telling you. I mean, if it was your office and the FBI just sort of came and sort of bashed down your door to sort of fix your locks,
Right.
it would be frowned upon. But because this is cyberspace and things are a bit more blurred,
Right.
It's an ongoing debate, and it's going to be interesting to see how this moves forward, because they've done this once with this vulnerability. Will they do it with the next vulnerability and the next one and the next one, and so on and so on? So yeah, it's an interesting debate, that's for sure.
Yeah, most definitely. And when you think about it that way, like you said, you wouldn't come in their physical place of business unannounced and change the locks, like you said, or make some other huge alteration. So to do it in cyberspace too, certainly does, there needs to be more discussion about it. There's and we'll be talking about it, I'm sure, Danny, as you write mainly about cybersecurity. It'll be something that we're diving into, I'm sure, once again. Much more on this, of course, you've got that up at ZDNet, on ZDNet, and we hope all of you all will check it out there. Danny, thank you. And thank you to all of you for watching us here today.